I have seen it all after 27 years of running. 15 of those years I have been coaching athletes all over the world. And I gotta be honest, I really think I have seen every crazy training idea, crazy mindset around the sport that you can imagine. And so in this video, I wanna share 3 of my biggest pet peeves about the running industry, about some of our mindsets around running, so that if you can think a little bit more strategically about the sport, escape some of these mindset traps, you're gonna be a much more successful runner and much more likely to accomplish your potential. All right, pet peeve number 1, I'm gonna channel my college cross-country coach right now and talk about the fact that he always used to tell us that running is not just a sport that you do 6 months out of the year, 9 months out of the year, even 10 months out of the year. It's a lifestyle. It's something that you have to embrace all the time, or else you're never going to achieve your potential, because running is cumulative. It builds on itself. We've all heard about progression. We're going to talk about that soon. But without progression, without some form of progressive overload, we're never going to achieve our potential as runners. And his point is that if you continuously take a lot of time off from running because you only train 9 or 10 months out of the year, then that level of inconsistency is going to keep setting you back, so that you're almost always starting from scratch. You're almost always starting from square one and then having to rebuild your fitness. And that process takes a lot of time. And that time takes away from you actually adapting to new training stresses and getting better at improving, adapting, actually getting stronger, building your endurance. So whenever possible, be as consistent as possible. All right, once we're consistent and have embraced running as a lifestyle, something that we are always going to be practicing, because this is something that builds on itself over time and really compounds, just like, your savings account or your investment account. Those fitness gains compound over time, so you don't want to take too much time off. Now, the other big pet peeve I have is a general lack of progression from season to season. Now, as runners, we're all familiar with progression. If you've ever trained for a race, followed a training plan, you know that the beginning of the training plan is easier and the end of the training plan is a little harder. It gets harder as you go. It likely increases in mileage. The workouts become more challenging. And so this is a great example of progression within a season. But one of the issues that I've found in the broader running community is that we don't progress enough from season to season. Sure, we progress a lot within a season, but then we often just repeat the same season over and over again. So if you've ever trained for a marathon and you're 5 months out from the marathon, you're running 15, 20 miles a week with an 8 or 9 mile long run, and then you start marathon training and you build to maybe about 40-ish miles a week, about a 20-mile long run. That's a very common progression for marathoners, and it happens over and over again. I've coached runners for years where they come to me and they ask for a custom training plan, and every time, every year, they're at the same spot. And so there's very little progression from season to season. And this is where a lot of your fitness gains are going to come from. Taking the next logical step with your training from season to season. Maybe that's adding in a lot more cross training. Maybe it's adding higher mileage. Maybe you're running 2 workouts a week instead of 1. Maybe you're just being a lot more consistent with those long runs. Instead of doing one every 2 weeks, you're doing one every week. There's a lot of different ways to build some of this progressive overload into our season, and from season to season. It doesn't have to be just mileage. There's a lot of other ways. But really think about this as you are trying to go after whatever your big goal is, whether it is training for a sub-3 marathon, training for a sub-4 marathon. No matter what goal you have, there's got to be some kind of progression from season to season, so that you're stressing your body a little bit more and a little bit differently to get those adaptations you need to get to the next level as a runner. Look at this. This is beautiful Boulder, Colorado. And I want to run with you here in Boulder at Boulderthon this fall on September 28th. Thank you, Boulderthon, for supporting the channel. You can go to boulderthon.org and use code STRENGTH20 to save $20 on the half marathon or the marathon. Come out here and run a Boulderthon race. They've got a 5K, 10K, half marathon, and marathon. The marathon is a USA Track and Field sanctioned event. It is BQ eligible, and you're going to be able to run in the shadows of the foothills on the historic streets of Boulder with an epic finish on Pearl Street. I think you're going to love it. So go to boulderthon.org, use code STRENGTH20 to save yourself $20 on the half or the marathon, and let's enjoy all that running has to offer. Okay, so my last pet peeve, and I hope you guys know I'm just kind of having fun with all these pet peeves, but my last pet peeve is that runners take the sport really seriously. They really care about every tiny little detail about their training. You know, we obsess over every little metric that this fancy watch tracks and catches, and we have our spreadsheets, and we pore over all of our Strava metrics, and every time we do a tempo run, we've got to plan the perfect route with not too much elevation gain, and God forbid the road is closed and we've got to jump over a curb onto some grass, and that's gonna throw us off real quick, or you know, there's an extra group of people on the road that you have to navigate around, or maybe you go to the track to do a workout and the track is closed, so you have to do a different workout, and on the fly just figure out an entirely different training session for the day. And these are all examples of minor annoyances in the sport of running that we shouldn't take too seriously. There's nothing wrong with these kinds of small pieces of adversity because, you know, we've got to train ourselves for the unexpected because that's what happens on race day. And a lot of things can go wrong on race day. A lot of things just might be different on race day than what you're used to. You know, whether that's weather, whether it's, you know, conditions with the other competitors on the course, maybe it's changing the course. There's so many things that could change on race day, and our training is going to prepare us for that. And so rolling with the punches, not taking all these tiny little things too seriously, you know, laughing it off and having a good time with our training is really important. You know, this is speaking to making training sustainable. And if training is stressing you out, if one little thing that goes wrong with your training for the week really throws you off for the week and increases your anxiety and stress levels, then training isn't sustainable. It's stressing you out and you're not going to be able to execute your training as well as you could, but you're also not going to fully recover and adapt from your training. So it's really important to have a light, almost carefree, positive attitude about your running. It makes it sustainable, it makes it easier, and I think ultimately at the end of the day, it helps you get more out of it. So there we go, guys. Those are some of my bigger pet peeves about the broader running industry. Don't worry, I love the sport. I love you. Runners are great people, but if I could wave a magic wand, these would be some of the things that I would change in the sport and change how a lot of adult runners approach progression, approach consistency, and just approach their general mindset around running. Because there's, you know, I think a lot of room for improvement so that we can focus on what really matters. Because, you know, trying to exert so much control over our running, not being consistent, not progressing, these are some huge issues that if we can resolve, even improve just slightly over time, we're gonna see massive gains in our abilities, in our capacities, and in our finish times. So I want to encourage you to try to incorporate at least one of these strategies into your training so that you can improve and get better, because that's ultimately what strength running is all about, whether it's this YouTube channel or the Strength Running podcast. We exist to make you into a better runner.